My wife and I recently sat down and watched the documentary Free Solo, which, if you're not familiar, is about a guy named Alex Honnold who climbs El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, which is a 3,000-foot cliff face. And he climbs it without assistance. No ropes, no anything. For anybody who has heard about it or has watched it, it's really easy to think that guy is clearly a natural. But he climbed that wall 60 times over more than a decade before he ever tried to do it without a rope. He lived in a van and traveled around the country just to climb. He climbed 5 days a week. It was his whole life up until that point, basically, where he achieved what no one had ever achieved before. There's a point that's really interesting where they scan his brain and they show that his amygdala, which is in charge of your fight or flight response, basically your fear response, his amygdala was incredibly underactive when going through some tests, where the normal person, like you or I, would absolutely have elicited a fear response. His just doesn't even register. And that can lead you to think, oh, well, he's wired differently, so that's why he's able to do what he's able to do. But that's the reverse order. He'd been climbing for 20 years, facing danger and terrifying situations. And so over time, what happens? We adapt. We get better at a thing. He'd been afraid for 20 years, so of course it would take a lot more to scare someone who has spent a lot of time staring danger or even death in the face by choice. This concept of assuming that people are naturals is something that I've experienced and I've seen a lot in the professional world, and especially in leadership. We look at managers and we assume that they've always been as good at what they're doing as they are right now. This is really common early in your career. Like, I remember straight out of college, my first manager I ever had, I thought he was pretty good, really nice guy, supported the team, had pretty open and honest conversations with me. Looking back in hindsight, he was super average. I don't think he was bad, but he was very average. It was just because I had no frame of reference. So to me, by comparison, I was like, oh wow, this guy's really worked at it. He might have been literally just a year down the line in his career than I was, but it felt like a lot at the time. On an even more personal note, when it comes to maybe achieving something at a specific activity or a specific sport, I think we do the same kind of thing. Hated running my whole life. I got into running at a point in my life when I was desperate to do something uncomfortable and uncharacteristic. The most surprising thing is that 3 years into my running journey, I was running a full marathon, which is something that if you would have told me that even just the year before I started running, I would have laughed you out of the room because I was in no way, shape, or form someone who thought that I would do something like that. If you met me now, you think, oh, he's naturally a runner because I ran a marathon. I wasn't a runner for the first 33 years of my life. And running long distances like that, honestly, it still feels like something that I would never do. So what does this all mean? We need to give ourselves more credit than we do, especially when we're embarking on a new journey. So if you're a newer leader and you look around and you start to think, wow, I'm surrounded by people who have these skills that I'm just never going to have. Like, look at how much more talented they are than me. They're naturals at this, whether they're your manager, your skip level, or the CEO of the company. Something we have to remember, though, is that we all started from the same place, more or less. The people that are ahead of you, they're not better than you. They just started earlier. It's all about reps. So if you're new, your only job right now is to keep showing up. You're working on your own 60 climbs. The solo comes later. Thanks for watching.